happens with that. Um, so last time you were in Hillcrest under their town, which also went under the Scorched Grove. And you had found a giant snake beneath them, who,
Which we promptly murdered.
yes, which you promptly murdered, who was like laying in a pile of gold. And you figured out that the townsfolk of Hillcrest were, unbeknownst to them, selling their crops and weaponry and armor to the bandits so that the mayor could pay off the giant snake to keep them safe from the uh, fires that have been going on. And you left the village with the villagers very confused and concerned, and the mayor just freaking out. But you traveled back to Alderheart relatively easily, and you were able to tell Dahlia what happened. And she said that she would let the council know. And while we were waiting for her, Volker and Iva went up to the trunk market to check out the supposed bandits that were terrorizing the townsfolk there, and learned they were actually a group of Gerbine children that had lost their parents but wanted to remain at the in the Alderheart because that was where their parents had raised them. You were able to convince a shopkeep that seemed positive towards the children to take him under his wing and try to get them jobs, and also try to keep them safe from the shopkeep that was the one who, I guess, told on them many times, Lola. And meanwhile, Maybell and Taunok had found Julia and decided to pay her, or decided to, yeah, get paid by her to protect her during your travels to the Avium. And you were able to travel to the Avium with no issue, and that's where we are now. You can see on the map, like I said, this is a petrified tree trunk with 4 floating isles just circling around it. The little pictures here show the dean's office, the underground library, and dormitory. And go down. So Julia kind of looks at all of you expectantly and is like, "Nope, thank you for getting me over here."
I already hate this place. Oh God. Oh why?
Oh, don't worry, you won't really see the outside once you're in, as long as you don't go to the floating isles and don't look out the windows.
I already thought all you people were crazy for choosing to live in a tree. A dead one? On purpose?
It's basically stone.
Well, yes,
Rocks are a bit better.
do remember he has an issue with heights and trees, and magic, and people.
Taunok just nods slightly.
Well, I wonder how you're gonna conduct your investigations then. Seems rather difficult.
Well, we tried.
Nope, we're going in.
Oh, and she hands over, I think it was, what was it?
Something like 5 gold?
It wasn't much.
Yeah, 5 gold each.
Woo!
And I'll make a note to Matt for that. And then... Okay. And she just says, "Well, if you ever actually go inside, you can come meet me in the dormitory sometime if you have to ask me any questions about the things that have been going on. I'm not gonna just wait out here for the boy to gain his wings."
Where would you say for us to go to meet the head of the necromancy?
The head of necromancy, Professor Nightseed. Usually she's in her classroom. It's near the top of the tree, right around there.
Thank
And
you.
she points.
Well, that's a good place to start, if any.
Yep. Her office is also in the main trunk. It's just below the dean's, and she also points. Right about there.
Ah, thank you.
Good day and good luck. And she kind of waves you off as she goes into the trunk of the tree and closes the door behind her.
Bye, Julia.
You're going to have to go into the tree. Do you want someone to hold your hand?
No, it's gonna be fine.
It's
I'm
okay
fine.
if you're a big scaredy bird.
You're
Rocks haven't betrayed me but before, so that's a start.
Suppose if it is all stone, it might be a little more sturdy than I initially thought, but guess we'll have to find out.
Well, okay, maybe shall we head on in and see if Townick follows?
Sure.
Yeah, you're able to go up to the double doors that Julia had walked through, and once you open the doors, you see that it opens up into a lounge area, and there is a desk by the far wall where a Strig scribe seems to be busy with like a towering pile of paper, and he's kind of like writing furiously, and he gives you a glance, but gets on with his work. And there are several chairs and couches around circular tables throughout the room, and portraits of past deans and professors hanging from the wall. You notice that most of them seem to be bird folk, although there is the occasional humble folk around. Behind the main desk, where the clerk is a staircase that leads down, and opposite the staircase is a circular platform.
I'll head on over to the clerk.
He gives a sigh and glances up again. Yes.
Yes, we're currently here on council business from the Older Heart. We're here to investigate the rumours of the strange happenings.
Right. I heard something about that was going on. Okay, let me see. And he kind of pushes aside the paper he was working on, opens up a book, looks down through it, and says, lucky for you, the dean seems to be available. You want to go speak to him now?
Please. Yes, how would we get to the dean?
He kind of gestures towards the round circular platform and says, get on that. I will set it up so you head right to his office.
Thank you. Onto the platform.
Yep. Once everyone's on the platform, he kind of presses down on a little symbol on a medallion that he has beside him, and the platform starts to raise up slowly.
What? Oh, no, I do not like this. No.
Townick, you're flying.
Say again, I'm gonna throw you right off the friggin' edge.
Yes, but I have wings.
And as you're heading up through the center of the trunk, you do see occasionally there are windows that show just how high up you're headed.
Nope.
Ooh, look out that window.
Nope.
Ooh, look out that window.
Nope. Nope.
What about that window?
And the platform stops halfway up the trunk at the entrance to the dean's office. The office itself is round, and the walls, of course, are made of stone. It's surrounded on all sides by windows, and through these windows, like here, there, you can see some of the floating platforms floating around outside.
I
And
assume that you were trying to ping on the map. I think you might be on the wrong layer because I didn't see anything.
whoops, I've been pinging and I was on the wrong layer. It's this one.
Ah,
Oh.
gotcha.
So it looks like that. And I pinged it before, but that's around here. And the offices are, sorry, the classrooms are up here, and the offices are a bit lower than the dean's.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, Tona, mind your step.
Yeah, Townhawk just stiff as a board, like managing to kind of like teeter his way along behind everyone.
And as you enter the office, the Luma at the sitting at the desk kind of jerks up and quickly moves to take the papers and books off a couple of chairs for you all and says, "Oh, please excuse me, please excuse me. I'm just reviewing a few hundred of these for my students. Excellent work, though I do tend to lose track of time. Yeah, yes, yes. Who are you? May I ask?"
Hello, we've been sent here from the Older Heart by the council.
Oh, yeah,
We're
yeah,
to
yeah.
investigate the mysterious happenings that may be related to necromantic happenings.
Yes, Speaker Beta sent word that he would be investigating our inconveniences. Really, it hasn't been too much trouble. Sure, the Birdfolk Council is troubling themselves with this, but thank you for coming. My name is. Where's Gabe? My name is Gabe Winsworth. Pleasure to meet you all. And he kind of looks at Volker and says, "Oh, I assume you're one of the students." And Volker nods and replies, "Yes, he was," and introduces himself as Volker.
My name is Ivo. This is Maybell, and the board in the shape of a bird is Taunak.
Pleasure, I'm sure. Look, let's just get this over with and go.
Yes, of course, of course. And he kind of scurries back to his table, says, "Oh, you may explore the avium at your leisure. You can look through the library, attend a few classes if you desire. Let me see, let me see." And he pulls out a few of the medallions that the Strig scribe had and hands them out to you all and says, "These are kind of guest amulets, you could call them. They let you use the elevator that you had used to get up here. Yeah, so you can go up and down."
Tavna, would you like to look at the lower floors?
Yes.
Oh, and he kind of scurries back to his table once more and grabs a piece of paper and holds it out to Maybell and says, "Times for when the floating platforms line up with the bridges, so you don't get caught."
Oh, thank you.
Yes, of course, we have to tend to our humble folk students. Of course, we would know the times that this happens with.
Why wouldn't you just want them to line up all the time?
They float, and we can fly.
Townhawk just shudders a little.
Yeah, unfortunately, my friend has an aversion to high places, but that's neither here nor there.
Yep. Then I recommend don't look out any windows.
Already on it.
Do you have any recorded incident notes that may have happened?
Yes, yes. And he kind of scurries once again back to his desk and says, "Well, Let me see. We have, yes, one of the students, poor lad, he was attacked by something apparently, and we're not too sure what it was. We all think, well, the thing that he said he was attacked by is very impossible. I don't understand. His name is Figgery. He's a Gerbeed. You could probably find him in the dormitory. He hasn't left his for a while. And then let's see. Yes, the divination professor, Ravane. He had, well, what do you call them? Prophecies, divining things constantly. Always strange things seem to be going on when he notices, when he does his magic, etc., etc. Let me see. Servitor skeletons, you may see them around, don't get alarmed. They seem to be malfunctioning occasionally.
Malfunctioning how?
Just. He kind of reads the paper some more and says, they seem to suddenly stop doing their predetermined path. Usually they you set them upon to clean a room, they will clean it. Nowadays, they sometimes just stop and leave. Sometimes heading down to the lower library, sometimes heading up to into the offices of the professors. Not entirely sure why. Professor Nightseed has already tried to fix them and is having trouble. And I believe, one more thing. There seems to be books and pages in books missing for some reason.
Do you think your things that are malfunctioning and going to the library might be responsible?
I wouldn't think so. We don't see them carrying around paper. I mean, they don't have pockets. They're just skeletal.
Charming.
Well, I would think that if the servitors are in the library and invading other spaces where information is held, they would either be collecting information for someone or something, or trying to get rid of it. So the thing or a person can't be stopped.
He just shrugs. Really, I do just believe most of this is pranks. The boy that got attacked seems to be likely a bid to remain in his dormitory, considering he's, left his town, is new to the area. None of it seems to be substantiated as of yet. Which is why I don't understand why the Bird Council is sending you all here.
Well, better safe than sorry.
Yes, that is true. I wouldn't want to have my students in any danger, of course.
Where would you recommend to go first?
Well, you could go down to the library to speak with Morgana Swiftgale. She's the librarian down there. She might tell you more about the books. You can speak to Professor Nightseed about the servitor skeletons. You can speak to the Figgery, the student, about his ordeal.
I mean, that last one certainly seems to make the most sense to me, since that's, in theory, where this request is coming from.
And there's also Professor Ravane, of course. You could speak to him about his, and he kind of waves his taloned hand. It's just like his, divinations.
Thank you very much.
Yes, of course, and feel free to come back to my office. You can check in with uh, and he kind of looks down at the paper again and says, you can check in with Eden downstairs about my timetable, of course.
Of course. Thank you for your time.
He just nods and rushes back to his desk and furiously grabs all the papers again and starts reading them.
Well, might be best if our most compassionate person and someone else visit the student.
I would like to see the student first. If he knows someone's on the case, maybe he'll come out.
That's what I was thinking as well. Maybe you two visit the student and me and Volker can visit the professors?
That sounds good. And
Good a place to start as any.
Yeah.
Then if you wish, we can meet in the library at the bottom.
I like that plan.
Excellent.
We shall see you both later.
And yeah, we can
Hi.
start with Taunok and Maybell. So once you get back onto the platform, you kind of just like look down at this medallion, and it doesn't seem to be glowing or anything, and just remains dormant in your hands.
Taunok taps it a couple times with a talon. Just so, how you work these things?
And sorry, go ahead.
If the previous experience was any indicator, we have to be on the elevator first.
Wait, I thought we were on the elevator already.
Oh, are we? I'm sorry. I'm gonna try pressing it against the wall or something, I guess.
Yep, nothing happens.
Think dorms?
And once you say that, or once you think that, the medallion glows and starts bringing you down.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, down is good.
It responds to locations. Okay.
And it goes past where Dean Winsworth had said the offices were, and finishes at the dormitory, which is lower down. And once the platform stops, a little door leads to a circle of the tree trunk that has various doors that you presume lead to the students' dormitories.
Any apparent faculty or people nearby, residents out and about?
You do see a handful of students walking about, most of them bird folk. There's the occasional humble folk walking around as well.
Hey, you! Yeah, you!
You yell to a pair of female
Whoever's
bird folk.
around.
Yeah, a pair of female bird folk, one a strig and the other a gallus. And they look at you like with wide eyes, like, who is this loud strig that's yelled at them?
Sorry, we were wondering if you could help us find someone.
Yeah, we could.
Looking for the Gerbine who said that they were attacked. Something.
Oh, you mean Figgery? We can
Yeah,
take you to him.
yeah.
Yeah, we can take you. We can. He's just over here. And
Thank
she
you.
walks around the tree, going to the basically the opposite side, and points at one of the doors and says, "Okay, that one's his dorm."
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
No worries. She gives you a wave.
Tarnock will knock on the door.
And as you knock, you can hear some shuffling going on in the room before the door just partially opens, and you see this dark eye gazing back at you, and a little voice says, "Who are you? What do you want? Go away."
Agree?
Relax, short stuff. Here to ask you a couple questions about what happened.
I don't want to talk about it. I've already talked about it, and no one believes me.
Hey, take a breath.
Haven't talked to us about it.
You can see that he's on the verge of hyperventilating.
No. Ready? In. Out.
Oh, come on, don't patronize the poor boy. Look,
I'm
look,
not.
I'm interested to hear what you gotta say. All we heard from the people in charge is that they're not sure they believe you, and I'm not sure that's how you want us to hear that story. Let us in and we can talk.
Make a persuasion check.
So good at those.
Yeah, just realised that the two charismatic people are not with you.
He attempts to slam the door in your face.
Tarnock would try to hold the door open at the very least.
Yeah, the little Gerbine boy definitely does not overpower you, as you can see, or at least hear the scratching on the floor as he's trying to push it closed. And at this point, you're also starting to make a scene, so a couple of the students start whispering and are like, "What? They're talking to that one?" Etc. etc.
Hey, relax, kid. Just want to talk about it. Get your side of the story.
You won't believe me anyway.
Try me.
And they all,
I'll make us some tea. You look like you haven't had a good meal in a bit.
okay, you can try another persuasion check, this time with advantage. Yep. This time, you kind of see him kind of slump down as if he's very, very tired, and he kind of opens the door fully to let you in. And once you can see him fully in person, you also see that his nose and paws are kind of drained of color. His eyes look heavy, and he looks very weak.
Oh, dear. No.
Well, come in. Let me tell you the story.
I'm just gonna magnificent feast right in his drum.
His eyes widen as he sees all this, and he's like, "Is this a spell? Can I learn it too?"
Maybe Lord Kareth grants me the ability to help my friends by feeding them.
Oh, you use divine magic then?
Yeah, magic's magic. Sure, you can figure it out with enough time. Now, come on, let's hear that story.
Well, why don't you eat something first? I'm sure you'll feel a little bit better once you have something in you.
He gives a little nod and goes and kind of sighs when he sees the other students muttering about him, and closes his door and comes back and sits to nibble on some of the cheese that's part of the feast.
You're absolutely right. I'm gonna have cheese part of that.
And he
Hey, you
kind
have
of,
to tell me if that's any good. Make sure it's safe to eat.
yeah, it's really good.
He
I
does this to me every time. Tell not.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is the first time I've ever seen you do this.
Mabel's gonna visibly pout.
Anyway, we got sent here by the council because they're worried about the stuff that you're talking about. The people here don't seem to be so worried about it. So we're trying to figure out what's going on.
Birdfolk Council cares?
Some
Uh-huh.
of them, from the sounds of it.
And he kind of nods and uh, points towards his bed and says, "Well, I was sleeping there, and it was raining. You know, it was. I can hear it on my window when I was trying to sleep. Um, and then I could suddenly hear scratching, and it was, it was really freaky. Like there was something outside my window that's not rain. And then when I got out of bed, I walked over to my window and I looked out and I saw the thing. I saw like a huge monster climbing with its claws up the tower, and it had four big red eyes. And when it opened its mouth, I think I passed out. And when I woke up, I felt so sick, and still I kind of do. The thing was gone, and I haven't seen it again. Well, I haven't left my dorm either.
How long ago was that?
It was 2 nights ago.
Hmm. So,
Not long at all.
that's more recent than what we got sent here for. That's good to know. You want to talk about this thing?
No, they all say I'm making it up because it was raining, so they couldn't hear any scratching like I said there was.
Pfft.
They all say I just want a medical exemption so I wouldn't have to do school. But I wanted to come here, I swear.
I
Trust me, kid.
believe you.
I believe you. If you did not want to come here, you wouldn't be here.
He kind of gives a small smile at that.
So, that said, the staying in your room doesn't seem like maybe the best decision for a few reasons. Like, if you want to keep doing this magic, hoo-ha, whatever's, like, it's gonna be a problem for that. And, I mean, don't want to scare you or nothing, but you were in here when you saw it the first time, and something happened then, right? So, maybe staying in here isn't your best choice for keeping away from that thing.
His eyes widen and he kind of like shies away from the window.
I don't believe anything's going to be bursting through the window.
Not with us here, at least. But hey, look, just think about it. If you're here for a reason, go, prove it to him, whatever. But holding up in here is probably not helping you out that much.
I guess that's true.
Dear, what do you study?
Oh, I study transmutation.
Don't know much about it. Could you tell me more?
Trans what's it's?
Transmutation. I can, let me see. And he. Oh, Tara, the DM, does not know a low level transmutation spell.
Spaghetti.
Uh,
We turn one small object into spaghetti.
how low level are you talking?
Like, cantrip or first level.
First level, I think Featherfall is transmutation.
Yeah, so he says, "Oh, okay, look." and he jumps onto the bed and then hops off and clasps Featherfall at himself to kind of float down as if he were gliding down like a bird.
I need
That's
that.
pretty cool.
Huh. Yep. Looks like magic to me.
Can anyone learn that?
Yeah, I
There's
just
a
just
hope
got
for
a
us.
steady heart.
There's a hope for us, Townick.
I'm not sure I follow.
We seem to be stuck at these high heights.
Great. Yeah. So you go ahead and learn the new magic doodad, and yeah, sounds perfect. Or we just bring the kid along.
No, he has to study.
Oh, come on. I'm sure he's quite the adventurous type. Surely some field work would help him reach his full magical potentials, like our other friend.
Mabel's gonna give him a great big hug, just very gently, like, and be like, I know you miss him. I'm sorry.
We just met him. What are you? Go, go.
You see Figuri just look between the two of you, all a little bit confused.
So, anyway, you said you saw it on the outside of the tree.
Yeah, and he kind of slowly walks over to the window and opens it and then points downward and says, "It was climbing up from below."
Hmm. I gotta ask you a big favor, kid, because you know where it was. And you can do that magical doodad thing. How long does that last for, anyway?
Not too long.
Hmm.
Then no.
Yeah. Probably not a good idea, then.
But we'll bring back Ivo. How's that sound?
Yeah, I'm sure that little shrimp can fit out this window.
You could give him a push.
Gladly. And you said it was going up the tree?
Yeah, it was climbing up, and then I guess it came into my window, maybe. Like I said, I don't remember.
Hmm. When you woke up, nothing out of place in here.
And he looks around and he's like, "Well, my trunk was moved a bit, but besides that, I don't think so."
Trunk was moved. What do you
Yeah,
keep in your trunk?
you can see he has a trunk with you would presume odds and ends or clothes or something just under that window that he was pointing at.
Keep anything in there that someone would want?
Nope, just clothes and school supplies.
Would you have kept any books in there?
I mean, I've got textbooks in there.
Could you please check if any pages are missing?
Yeah. And he goes over and opens up his trunk, and you can see, "Hello."
Welcome.
Um, just, I guess, a quick recap. We all made it to the Avium. The dean gave Winsworth, gave you all amulets that let you travel through the trunk via an elevator, and also gave a piece of paper to Maybell that gives the times when all of the various platforms and the bridges line up with the main trunk. Maybell and Kaunok are currently chatting with a Gerbine student named Figuri that was attacked by something strange that no one else believes that he was actually attacked by. Other people you were going to talk to was Professor Rovane, the divination professor who had been casting augury every day since the rumors had began and has been seeing strange things. You're also going to talk with Professor Nightseed, who was the necromancer professor, about the servitor skeletons that seem to be running amok. And you were going to talk to the librarian Morgana Swiftgale, who about books and pages of books that seem to be missing. And I guess that's just a quick recap. And we can get back in with Townok and Maybell. So yeah, Maybell, the figurine is just looking through the books that he has, and none of them seem to be missing any pages. None of them seem to be missing. And he just shrugs and says, "Well, I did hear rumors about books and pages missing, but these all seem fine."
Yeah, so did we. That's why we ask.
I heard we heard that servitors are going around and spaces that have information.
I've never witnessed it myself, but I have heard rumors of the servitor skeletons kind of just like stopping and then just leaving what they were doing. It's really weird.
Mm.
Look, kid, you mind if we have a couple other friends who came with us. One of them might be a little bit better suited to taking a peek out that little window of yours. Mind if we come back with him in a few?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
All right. Not going to try to lock us out again, are you?
He shakes his head. Miss, is the food gonna disappear when you leave?
In 8 hours.
And he kind of gives a little gasp and moves back to the food and starts munching a little bit again. And you can see, since the time that you all have been inside chatting with him, he's still pale and weak, but he seems to be getting a little bit of color back to his nose and paws.
It's because I got sweet healing food.
That or it's the food poisoning setting in.
Ah. Rude.
In any case, it's been a big help here. We'll be back soon, hopefully. Yeah.
You're fulfilled here.
Thank you so much, Miss and Mister.
Yeah, no problem.
He's Taunok. I'm Maybell. Just Maybell, please.
And he nods. Thanks for listening to me.
Gladly.
Townot gives him a stern look while trying not to grin and just, now, don't lock us out again, or I'm going to break down your door.
His eyes widen. He's like, "No, no, 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 no! I won't. I'll let you in."
Maybell's gonna lightly shake her head no, and just kind of mouth, "He won't."
All right, good. All right, let's go find that bird brain.
Mabel just kind of gives you an eyebrow, looks at you a little harder, leaning in, gives you the up and down once.
What? You know it's true.
Just kind of shrugs. A little bit of a smile.
Yeah, you're able to head out and head back to the elevator. And before we get there, pass back to Ivo and Volker, who are heading up to speak with the professors. So your elevator, were you gonna go to the classrooms or to the offices?
Uh, Probably the offices first to see from there.
Yeah. So when you think offices, the amulet glows, and you also go down the elevator, and you head out into an area that's kind of similar to the dormitories. Big long hall with several doors, although unlike the dormitory doors, these are labeled with the various professors' names on them. So you see, as you look in, um, you see Birchwalker, um, you see Ravane, you see Nightseed, and a few others.
So, Volker, should we pick one together or take one each?
Go together.
Okay, necromancy or divination?
For context, obviously the necromancer one is related to the servitors going haywire, whereas the divination one, apparently when they're doing their divining is when things are getting weird.
Yeah, they get visions of strange things.
Let's go divinate.
You're a little quiet there, Matt.
I'm not talking very loud, but
Ah,
divination.
divination it is.
Yeah, so you go to the door labeled Ravane and you knock on it and you hear rustling, papers going, something else clattering, and then a Corvum opens the door and says, "Oh, welcome. I heard there might be someone investigating the strange rumors." And he kind of gestures for the both of you to come in.
Ah, yeah, thank you.
And Volker, you wouldn't have recognized him. He seems to be a newer professor.
So, Professor Rivane?
Yes, yes, I teach divination. Which is why I knew you were coming.
Very good. We were sent here by the Bird Council to investigate strange happenings, and we've been informed you've been having strange visions.
Yes, I have. And he kind of like, you see him clasp his hands together and kind of seems really excited about this. And he says, "Oh, I've been casting augury every day since the rumors began, you know? And I mean, I haven't divined anything concrete, but also haven't divined anything positive in the least. Oh, I can actually do a augury right now if you wish to walk." And he's kind of bobbing, very excited.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
He gives a little squeak of excitement. Picks up a cup that seemed to have been knocked down when he answered the door, and he kind of shakes it and turns it upside down, and you see various insect parts that just flow out of the cup and onto the floor as he's casting augury. The pieces of insects begin to glow, and Ravane suddenly seems to kind of like look down, and you see all this excitement kind of leave him, and as if in a trance, you can hear his voice say, "A black heart lies among the white and brown. Who is friend and who is foe? The master wheel, the monster woe." And then suddenly he blinks and kind of gives a laugh and is like, I can't make heads or tails of it, but seems exciting.
Yes, could you actually write that down for us, please? Because maybe someone else here has an idea.
Oh, of course, of course. And he grabs a piece of paper, quickly writes it down for you, and hands it over.
So, any inclination of what any part of that could be?
I mean, Blackheart, who is friend, who is foe. I mean, maybe the threat's coming from a student or a faculty member? I mean, I've also seen visions of kind of darkness, skeletons coming to life and walking around, which he kind of like shrugs and says, I mean, you see servitor skeletons all the time. Not quite used to them at the moment.
Very well. That's something we can look into. What's your opinion on the other things that have been happening?
Well, let me see. I do believe that poor little Jerbeen boy that got attacked by something. I mean, if I'm seeing visions of skeletal creatures and the servitor skeletons are malfunctioning, there is possibility that one of them decided to suddenly climb up the tree trunk and attack the poor boy. Although none of the servitor skeletons look quite as demonic the boy was making it out to be. Perhaps he just imagined it a little bit, you know, being dark and stormy night when it happened to him.
That sounds plausible at the very least.
Yeah, about the foreign pages from books, he just kind of gives a shrug and is like, that I'm not sure about at all. Hopefully it's not one of the students.
Why would it be specifically the students?
I mean, that's the usual prank that happens, right? Tear out the books in the library, play a prank on the librarian. You know? Never did anything like that in school.
Sorry, I never went to much of the centralized schooling. I came from the outer regions.
Ah. Well, it's a thing that I may have done.
So, inquiring with the librarian may lead to more on that.
He gives a nod.
I think the only other major thing is the servitors suddenly stopping and going into either up the tree or down the tree.
Yeah, I admit I tend to avoid the servitor skeletons. I'm not that fond of them.
Skeletons give you the heebie-jeebies.
Yep, that's why I use insect parts, not skeletal parts for my augury.
Sure. Apparently, the head of necromancy has been attempting to fix the issue, but with mixed results.
Yeah, he shakes his head. I think that professor, Nightseed's her name. I think she's up to something. I know she creates these servitor skeletons for us and things, and that she practices theoretical necromancy, and he kind of puts quotes in the air. But I know, at least I know with my divination, I wouldn't want to just practice it theoretically, you know?
Do you have any proof?
well, no. And unfortunately, no visions either, although I have attempted to cast my mind's gaze towards her. He shrugs again. Hasn't really worked yet.
Well, before we head off and deal with any other inquiries, is there anything else you can think of? Like, of anything that could be seen as out of the ordinary?
I don't think so. But I will be casting augury again tomorrow.
Well, hopefully you'll receive a better and clearer result.
He just smiles and nods and is like, I really hope so. Really need something like that right now. Perfect.
Let us know if you get anything a little more clear.
Of course.
But, thank you very much for your time.
He gives a nod.
And, head out with Volker.
And as you head out, you see the platform coming down again as Taunok and Maybell step into the office area.
Hey,
Well, hello?
I could I ask you to dive bomb outside of the tree?
Well, that seems like an oddly specific request.
Well, I mean, you'll probably turn it into a dive bomb. But
He talked to said that he's on the outside of the tree, and that's what attacked him in his room. Maybe he just fainted. He wasn't very clear. I don't think he knows either. Stuff was shifted around right near the window, so seems like whatever it was came in.
Well, the Professor Ravane seems to believe the student may have seen something. He also gave us this augury, what she's been receiving the last couple of days, and show them the note. So,
Black heart lies among the white and brown. Oh, his friend was followed master. Wield the monster. Whoa.
so if you three then wish to visit the other professor while I go to the student, and do
let me go with you. Just please.
if you wish, sure. As a precaution, just to make sure we can reach each other if something goes wrong. And I'll start forming a telepathic communication between everyone.
Sweet.
Oh.
That is still really creepy.
Yeah.
Well, we're all about to be in very different parts of the tree doing very different things.
That's fair.
But, yes, Taunok, please try to behave with Volker.
Yeah, no worry. I'm sure old Bookworm here will know his way around fine.
The names are on the top of the doors, genius.
Not for the dorms.
You just look at Mabel and start walking towards the platform.
So Maybell and Ivo heading back to the dormitories. So think the word, the platform lowers and opens up at the dormitory. And you're able to quickly go find the door that leads to Figgery's room again.
Politely knock on his door. Figgery.
Oh, Miss Maybell. I mean Baybell. And he opens the door, and you see he's eaten a sizable portion of the food you had left him.
Oh, dear, you're looking so much better. And I
Thanks.
pop his ears.
Thanks. And you see that it is true. He's got a lot more color to him, although he still seems tired.
Now, some proper rest will do you a lot of good.
Thanks, Maybell.
No, this is Ivo. He can look out the window for us.
Oh, okay. And he kind of walks back over to the window. He pushes the trunk aside and uh, opens the window and says, "That's where I saw the thing."
Ah, very good. Do you mind? And I'll signal if I can go up to the window.
Yeah, of course. I mean, no, I don't mind.
I understood. Thank you. And I'll head over to the window.
Yeah. So once you get there, the window is not too small or big, so you're able to squeeze your body and face out if you are wanting to. And you can make an investigation check to like look out the window, look below the window, and see if there's anything you can find.
Well, let's hope this goes well.
Figgery said it had like claw-like hands, so maybe it would dig holes in the sides.
I can't see anything from this angle. I may have to jump out and see what I can see that way.
You are a bold sky adventurer.
You're
Yes.
pretty sure it's a tree.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a window. But yeah, considering how badly I failed that, I'll signal for Maybell and the Gerbeam to stand to one side.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm just going to take a running dive out the window and take a look from the outside while I'm falling.
yeah, make another investigation check.
And I'll throw a side-powered dice onto it just because, try and make it better. 20.
Sweet. So what you do see is that there are scratches on the side of the trunk, but with that roll, you can tell that they are older than the 2 days ago that Figgery had been talking about. So they don't seem to be recent.
As I'm falling, I'm going to try and fall as long as possible before trying to glide. Am I
Yeah.
able to follow the tracks down?
Yeah. So with your investigation check, let's say that is Figgery's window. You see it going down to about there.
Okay. If that's the case, when it gets close to that point, if there's a way to get in, I'll try and like glide and going through that.
Yeah, so you can glide and go in through that window. That window is open and it leads back into the main area, the lounge area that you had walked in first. Or you could just go all the way to the bottom and go back through the door.
Yeah, I'll probably just go to the bottom and go through the door. It's probably a bit closer.
Yeah, you do that. The Strig clerk looks up at you again, is kind of like a little bit confused, and then not confused, and gets back to work.
I'll head over to where that I believe those tracks came from.
Yeah, so the tracks, and over there, you can't exactly find where they start on the inside. You just see, if you like stick your head out the window and look up, you can see where the tracks are leading upward.
Okay. And what is this room in particular?
It seems to be like a lounge greeting room. So it's just literally all of. Where's the shape thing? So all of that area is the lounge room where people would come in, speak with the clerk, and then allowed upstairs or downstairs. Sometimes it can take a bit of time, which is why there is a lounge area. The height of the roof of the or ceiling of the lounge area is a bit taller than the rest of the rooms you've been in the trunk. So it seems like whatever this thing was may have somehow, whoops, got into that window before going up.
Interesting. Well, I think for now I'll head back to the platform and think dawns.
Yeah, when you do that, platform goes up.
Get off, knock on the door.
Figure opens it for you.
Ah.
Did you find anything?
There were tracks, yes.
I was right.
Partially.
He tilts his head.
It looks like the tracks that were there are older than a few days, though.
That's weird. I mean, I swear I saw the thing two nights ago. It was stormy. You can ask everybody else.
Is it possible you saw a vision of something that happened previously?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not in divination.
No,
I,
but the divination professor has been casting augury a lot. And things have been going wrong recently.
he kind of gives a little shrug and is like, I don't think so. I mean, from what I've learned about divination, it shouldn't transfer to other folk like that. I don't think.
Well, anyway, yes, there are tracks. We'll look further into them, but for now, it looks safe enough.
He nods. It's like, thanks for checking.
All I need to do is see if I can climb up to the top of the tree and jump off and find the tracks again.
He smiles at that.
Ivo was a bit of a daredevil.
Yeah, I mean, I learned Featherfall, so I could. I mean, never mind.
No. Ivo, you have to see his featherfall spell. It's amazing.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'll show you. And he jumps on the bed, jumps off, casts Featherfall, and lightly lands down.
Isn't it terrific?
I can certainly glide much better than Towner can.
Well, for us non-feathered folk, that's astounding.
Precisely, he can glide better than a bird folk.
Thanks.
I know he sounds insincere, but I'm very proud of you.
No, I appreciate it, the both of you.
All right, you need sleep.
And he nods and says, I'll stay awake a little bit longer if you want to come back and ask me more. I mean, I don't know anything else really, but I'm gonna try to stay awake a bit longer.
You eat up, okay? And I'm gonna go find him. Like, I'm gonna go warm up some water and come back. Leave him a nice cup of like herbal tea next to his bed.
Oh, Thanks very much, Mabel.
Yeah, and then I'll kind of like rearrange the sheets so it's just an easy flip for when he wants to come in.
Yeah, you can see he smiles and seems to be acting a little bit shy at this point since you've been fawning over him.
All right. No, I recommend at least 12 hours.
Yep. He nods and says, "Okay, I will."
Sleep well, Pilgrim.
Thanks, Mabel. Thanks, Ivo. And tell Haunok thanks too.
we will. Take care of yourself, okay?
Okay.
And I'll leave.
Yeah, I'll be outside in the hallway.
Um.
Meanwhile,
So,
in the Batcave,
yep. So where were you two heading again? The library, or I don't remember.
It was Professor Platfeather?
Oh, Professor
Yeah.
Nightseed, probably the
Nightseed,
necromancer.
yeah, sorry.
yeah, the Necromancer.
Yeah. So you to knock on the door of her office, but there is no answer.
We
Remind
kick
me
it
why
in.
we agreed to do this again.
What do you mean?
I mean, we're here, what, asking about the rogue things that this person makes? Like, not sure they're going to want us to hear too much about it.
Well, I mean, I would imagine that we wouldn't ask them quite that directly, roundabout. We don't just say, hey, how about all those crazy things you've been creating that are causing problems? Doesn't matter. She's not here anyway. What are we going to do now?
I mean, I could always open the door.
What's that going to get us? I mean, breaking and entering probably isn't going to help us any.
True. Other than snooping around and entirely too much attention. Maybe one of her colleagues knows where they are.
Try that, I suppose. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe she'll be in class, I wasn't here for that, so.
And those would be
Yeah.
where
Haunok
exactly?
probably would have avoided it because they're at the tallest point.
They're at the tallest of the tree, so.
Yeah.
Well, what about the library then?
I mean,
Those
we can try that too if
missing books or pages or whatever, that's a good start. And we don't want to go interrupting that classes anyway. Make too much fuss.
Sure, let's go to the library.
Right, sounds good.
Yep. So you head back to the platform, think library, and the platform lowers down and stops at the lounge.
I just do not like that.
And you know from what the dean had told you that the library was at the lowest point of the trunk. So it's actually down the stairs behind the string clerk.
Yeah.
I mean, Taunok will quickly lead the way as far down as he can get at this point.
Yeah, you go down the steps, and it's this image here. You see as if the library has been literally built into the roots itself, rows upon rows of library shelving, books on the shelves, tables here and there, and magic lights around the roots that light up the place.
Hello? Anyone here?
It's a library.
And with that, someone who is sitting here, she peeks her head around the wall and says, yes, I'm the librarian.
We're here to talk about the damaged books, I guess.
Oh, the dean had said that they would be sending someone. Please, if you can keep your voice low, there are students studying.
Yeah, he was apparently a barn owl, as in raised in a barn. Apologies.
Hey.
And the librarian lets out a little hoot because she is literally a strig barn owl. Little hoot of laughter.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, you can come over here, come to my desk, have a seat, and we can speak about the incidents that has been going around in the library.
Kaunok just motions for Volker to go.
Yeah.
Follows him.
My name is Morgana Swiftgale. Would either the two of you like tea? And may I know your names? It would be nice to know who I'm speaking to.
Tea would be great, and I am Volker, and my brusque friend here is Tauna.
You can
Pleasure.
see her eyes kind of widen slightly, but she quickly moves back to her previous smile, and she says, "Of course. Let me just go grab that tea, and I'll be right back." And she heads off down one of the halls.
Kaunok just kind of elbows Volker.
See that look she gave you?
No?
Well, I think it's safe to say this is going to be an exciting visit. I'm just not entirely sure in what way yet.
Yeah, cycling. In your mind, have you talked to the professor yet?
Ugh.
In whose mind, or both? Is it both of us?
In both.
No, we decided to go to the library first.
Was that
And
more?
he kind of winks at Taunok, as in like, yeah, I'll cover for you.
So did he chicken out, or are you covering?
The professor wasn't in.
We went to find her first, but she wasn't there, and we didn't want to interrupt her class, so we.
All right. Me and Mabel will go. You and the chicken stick go down to the library.
Kaunok just looks at Volker and says out loud,
I knew you were my favorite for a reason.
Don't let him get to.
Mabel will sort of politely tease. Oh, and I thought I was nearest to your heart.
No, I said that out loud. Ivo didn't get to hear that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, a few minutes later, Morgana returns, and behind her is one of the servitor skeletons that literally looks like a bird folk skeleton, carrying a tray with 3 cups of tea.
Oh, whoa! Taunok like half jumps out of his seat before remembering, oh yeah, this thing is supposed to be here, probably.
That's something.
Oh, yes. Outsiders are not that used to these servitor skeletons, are they? And she has a seat, and the skeleton starts placing the cups on the table.
Typically, the only times I see those things are not moving. At least not anymore. So, yeah, no.
I believe this one is Dean Winsmith, was it? The servitor skeleton doesn't make any motion of recognition or anything. At least I think so. They're a bit hard to tell apart at this point. And she waves a hand, and the a skeleton just kind of turns at a 90-degree angle and walks away.
Couldn't, like, label him or something?
I suppose we could have, but at this point, they don't really have autonomy or memories of their past lives. They are merely uh, creatures that listen to our every word, as it were.
Mm, you say that, but one of the only things I've heard about them since I've been here is how they are not doing that.
That is true. I have had some issue with the skeletons, unfortunately. Removing books off the shelves, putting them in a pile. It was quite a mess to clean up myself.
Is it?
That seems like odd behavior. What? Did they're just stacking books?
More like just tossing them in a pile. Not even a stack, unfortunately.
Is there more than one of them doing that?
Oh, yes, quite a few of them. Intermittently, here and there, never the same one twice. Unless, I mean, it is the same one. Sometimes I can't tell, I admit.
Are they just random books, or there's any sort of connection to the type of books that are being thrown around?
Random. At least it seems to be. There was some divination books, some necromancy books, some transmutation, some enchantment.
Do you have any books here that aren't about magical doodads?
Some on history.
They're getting thrown into?
I believe so. Let me think. And she kind of raises up from her seat and moves towards one of the walls and says, "Ah, yes, this one was removed." And she pulls out a book and shows it to him, and it is a history book.
Hmm. And, wouldn't happen to have any sort of record of which ones they've been pulling down, would you?
Oh no, I haven't. It would have taken quite some time for just one librarian to do such a thing. I decided to put the books back immediately.
How long has this been going on for?
Oh, probably 2, 3, 4 weeks. At first it was little piles, or the servitors putting books back where they weren't supposed to go, or just stopping their cleaning in the middle of what they were doing. Piles got larger, books are getting misplaced. It's quite unfortunate.
Pages going missing.
Yes, that I don't believe is the work of the servitors, although I hope not. But and she kind of heads back to her table and leans downward and grabs one of the books on the floor and opens it up and shows it to you. And it's a necromancy textbook that has had several pages of it ripped out.
Hmm. Any connections between the different damaged ones?
Yes, they all seem to be related to necromancy. And actually, one fairly important necromancy book has disappeared entirely. The Necrocomicon Ex Corvus. It's quite important.
Important enough to just leave sitting on a dusty library shelf somewhere for youngins to get at.
She shakes her head. Oh no, that one is usually in my personal collection. My office, and she kind of points down one of the halls. It's over there. Professor Nightseed had requested it. I had given it to her, she returned it, and about a week later it disappeared. She said she wanted it for one of her students.
Hmm. Professors have full access to any of the books, including the special ones like that?
Yes, they do.
Uh, Wouldn't that seem a bit strange to to allow a student to look at a book like that? Unless it was, I mean, supervised?
I believe that Professor Nightseed was supervising. I believe her name was Julia. She's one of her favored students. They do similar work regarding servitor skeletons. I, at least I hope that she was being supervised as she was reading it.
So,
Talk to Professor Nightseed about the fact that all of these things are happening.
I have, and she did say that she's working hard to fix the servitor skeletons, but unfortunately hasn't been able to fix them. And as for the Necrocomicon ex Corvus, she has said that she returned it and doesn't know where it is. I am searching for it. Hope I find it soon.
now, Volker, I don't know much about this magical hoo-ha, but, I told you about the thing that the kid upstairs said he saw out his window. Is that Necro who's a what's it too?
Possibly. Unfortunately, didn't study a whole lot of necromancy myself.
Oh,
Evocation is my specialty.
so you are a wizard.
He kind of straightens up his robes a little bit. Yes, I was actually a student.
Oh, and she smiles. I'm afraid I suppose I started after you were around or something. She
It's
tilts her head.
possible. I, I didn't spend a whole lot of time with others while I was here.
And how long ago was this, anyway?
I actually don't know. I think like 5-ish years. I think.
Yeah, I don't
I'm saying
remember,
that. I'm
so.
saying that. Yeah, I'm saying that out of character because I think that's what it.
What do you mean you don't know when you were here?
Probably about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years is like pulling on my memory, so I'm pretty sure it is 5 years. And the librarian smiles and she says, well, I was around at that point, so I suppose we likely didn't meet or only met once or twice.
Sounds like you just didn't leave much of an impression.
It's also a possibility.
Well, in any case, we have a missing book on necro-whatsits, and
I just realized I also said I was an evocation wizard, and I'm not. I'm an enchanted
I
wizard.
wasn't going to call you out on that, but I left it alone.
I was not. I wasn't trying to be clever or hide who I was. I just said it wrong.
Uh, we've got a missing book on a topic that was shown to a student and a professor, and the professor can access whenever they want, but it's now gone, and there's stuff related to that book that isn't working right anymore. Would you say that book went missing around the same time that the servos things got wonky?
Well, yes. Nice. Servitor skeletons started malfunctioning bit by bit 3, 4 weeks ago, about. Um, well, the book disappeared about a week ago, but before that it was with Professor Nightseed.
And, give me a second here. Taunok will sit and scrunch up his one good eye and, well, how old you say those tracks were?
GM, how old did those tracks look to me?
They looked years old.
They looked like they're a good few years old, Taunak.
Taunok does not respond, just opens his eyes and says, "Oh, no, never mind. Thought I had something." So,
You see the librarian get visibly confused.
Indigestion.
anyway, those line up. Maybe it's just me talking here, but professor could get that book whenever they wanted. Would it raise any eyebrows if they were asking for it a lot? I mean, it is kind of their field of study.
I believe, yes, it would. Although it is part of their study, it's a really powerful tome containing very powerful necromancy spells. Not usually something that would be necessary in general theoretical necromancy, even if Professor Nightseed is the one who is working on the servitor skeletons.
When's this Professor Nightseed due back to keep working on these skeletons anyway?
Likely in the evening. Although I admit, with what happened to the student, Figgery, staying the night, I wouldn't recommend it. I would say leave as soon as you're done your investigations.
Taunok just kind of looks at Volker and,
I mean, sounds like we've got a time that we wouldn't be interrupting a class.
It's a lead, I guess.
Is there anything else you would like to know?
Any strange activity in just the past couple of days?
Besides the servitor skeletons, no.
How long ago did that little Gerbine student of yours have that incident occur?
I believe it was probably 2 days ago. I admit I'm not entirely sure, but he was a very studious Gerbine. Generally, I would see him down here working, and I haven't for the past 2 days.
All right, that makes sense. Adds up. Volker, you got any ideas?
At the moment.
All right, well, I think that's it for now. Don't mind if we just look around a little while we wait for your professor to come down here?
Of course. Go ahead and look around as you will.
All right.
Taunok will get up and,
Hey, we got an appointment with that professor down here in the library later while they're working on some of the magics. Might be good to have a first-hand account of what's going on.
Was that internal or external when you said
internal.
Okay. If you want, we can come down and with you and have a look.
I mean, if you've got other leads, follow them, but I think we'll just be waiting until then. You know, get a real close look at that, whatever it is, process for the skeletons.
Oh, I've kind of got a lead I can jump at, but yeah, I'll meet you. I'll meet you there.
Fair.
Yeah,
And yeah, Taunok will just start perusing around the bookshelves, kind of like half looking to be like, okay, what's actually missing here? Are there like clear damages, things like that? But see if he can kind of establish any sort of pattern.
Yeah, you
See
can
if
make
there's
a
things other than the books that are messed up.
yeah, you make an investigation check. So the only patterns that you pick up is number one, there do seem to be books out of place. So like you're just looking around, there's a lot of books on history, and then suddenly there is a book on evocation. Somewhere else you're looking around, you see books on beginner spells, and suddenly there is a more advanced spell in there.
And I'm assuming that all of these titles and subject materials are just gobbledygook to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, evocation is my specialty.
And he believed that.
And then the other thing you would have noticed is that um,
I only got it 8.
yeah, I forget the other thing I was going to say. So
It's okay. I probably didn't notice it.
I can assist in investigation if you'd like. I can investigate. I'm good at it.
yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna roll a 7.
Hey, with the 15, you also find a handful of the necromancy books that do have pages torn out of them. It's a bit hard to figure out what the pages were about. Some of them seem to hint at um, let me quick go. Some of them seem to be speaking not only of necromancy, but also the Scorched Grove, at least the chapters that were ripped out seem to be on. Some of them seem to be talking about the Great Calamity. And then others are talking about, you see something that's like, that says humanoid figure before cutting off. So you're not able to figure out what it was talking about exactly.
Well, what do you think?
Looks like gibberish to me. What do you think?
I'm not sure it means a whole lot on its own. Might mean something in a larger picture that we don't see yet.
Hey, I you. I can tell you there's a few pages missing. That's all I got.
No, I don't think we're gonna find much else here.
Well, except for our professor when they come, or Idaho and Maybell when they get their lazy here.
Yeah, and with that, we can swap back to Io and Maybell.
Yeah, so apparently we're to meet them in the library and wait for the professor at night. But, I'm going to head up to the top of the tree and jump off to see if I can see if the tracks lead anywhere higher. Do you wish to come with me up to the top or head down to those two?
Sam, you're muted.
I'll try going to the top.
Are you sure? It can get pretty high up there.
No, I'm not sure.
Well, whatever happens, don't freak out when I suddenly just vanish.
You do that anyway.
True, but it's slightly different when you just see someone fall out of view.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna head up to the highest point I can possibly reach within the tree.
Yep. So, you know from chatting with Dean Winsworth that the highest point would be the classrooms. So you head up there, and the classrooms themselves, some of them seem to be open air, so they're at the very, very top. So you're able to find one that seems empty, and they're way up there. And I would say walking past, you do see um, a few classrooms that where the doors are closed and a professor seems to be teaching something.
We'll deal with the professor later on. Ivor will walk up to the edge, turn his back to the edge, and just say, Maybell,
Yeah.
don't watch this. And he's just gonna jump off.
Mabel's definitely gonna watch.
And make an investigation check as you are falling.
For the second time today. And I'll roll the side dice to hopefully get better. An 18.
So with that, you see that the tracks do stop here, the Jerbeens dormitory.
So they definitely don't go any higher than that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's still good information to have. But yeah, I'll start gliding when I hit the bottom and walk through the door again.
Yep. The clerk looks up again and gives a little exasperated sigh.
I assume the library's behind you?
Yeah, behind me.
Thank you. And in his mind, he'll say back up to Maybell, I'm currently on the floor heading to the library now.
Neat. I mean, after he jumps up, I'll go down to the library.
Yep, you're about to go down and meet back up with Taunok and Volk.
About time you folks got here.
What do you mean about time? I've jumped off this tree twice today.
And it still took you this long to make it to the bottom.
Yes, because some of us had to go to the top to make sure the tracks didn't go any higher.
I mean, kid said it came from the bottom.
Yes, and we've confirmed that it stopped at his window.
So what did we learn that's new?
Uh, watching someone jump off of a very high place is alarming.
So what did we learn that's new?
Well, what have you learned?
We learned that there's a mysterious, powerful book of Necrowhatsit that's missing and went missing around the same time as all the skeletons stopped working right. And apparently, the only people who've had access to it right before that were the teacher, who we're going to meet here soon, hopefully, and one student who they gave it to.
Don't we know who his prize student is? It's Julia.
It's who?
The person we came to the tree with.
I don't think it was the same name.
Was it the same name, DM?
Yeah, it was. It was Julia.
I thought it was someone different.
Okay, so the lady we walked here with, who paid us. Lovely.
And you didn't go up the tree to talk to her?
Nope, we know they were going to come down here. Wanted to see exactly what's going into the tampering with these things. Like, I'm sure that, and I don't know anything about it, but Volker's bound to, right?
I mean, possibly, but would you care to go and speak to Julia?
I think it'd be smarter to talk to the professor first.
You just
Besides,
don't.
she's not going anywhere, right?
You just don't want to go up the tree, do you?
Yeah, I think it's a smart decision. We talked to the lady who actually had access to the book first, and who gave the other person access to it, and who is making the things that are not working right.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, what do? We walk up to her like, hey, no, you've been out of town for a couple of weeks, but we heard you stole a book.
Well, maybe not in those words, but it's a good start.
Seems like putting the cart before the beetle, if you ask me.
Well, it's another source of information.
We could at least ask if it's missing any pages.
Missing pages for the books down here do all seem to be mostly necromancy related,
Right?
Yeah, mostly necromancy. Some did have chapters on the Scorch Grove and Great Calamity.
that or some histories or studies on the Scorched Grove, but librarian thinks it's unrelated to the missing book or the misbehaving bodily remains.
As the librarian walks past you all, she kind of brings a talent up to her beak and then keeps going.
So yeah, I say we poke around here and we wait.
Yeah, inside of his mind. Remember, inside voices.
I'm never gonna get used to that.
If that's the case, maybe some of us can have a look around for anything else, or some of us can head up and speak to Julia.
I mean, if you're all sure that you want to pull that trigger before we find out more, then I'm not gonna stop you. I think it's a fool idea, but that's just me.
Yes, don't worry, Town. You don't have to go up the tree. I will just head off to the central platform and think dorms.
Yep. And you're able to go up and head to the dorms. Is anybody else going with Ivo?
Maybell will.
Okay. So the two of you go back up to the dorms, and they open up to the familiar hallways.
She said she would be at her dorms, so we should probably ask around for her.
Sure.
Look around, are any students in the halls?
Yes, there is a Mapatch student just walking, a pile of books in their arms.
Excuse me.
Yes?
I'm looking for a student named Julia.
Oh, yeah, I know her. And they kind of glance down at your guest amulets before giving a nod and walking down the halls to one of the other dorms on the other side and says, "Well, this is her room."
Thank you.
Yeah. And they just walk away.
Knock on the door.
Just a moment. A few seconds pass before the door opens and Julia's standing there and is like, yes, hello again. I suppose you all made it into the tree?
Yes, we have. We've been up and down it a few times today so far.
Very nice. And she kind of glances at the two of you and looks into the hall and says, not the scared one, though.
No, he doesn't like coming up the tree.
I see. And she kind of opens her door fully and gestures for you all to come inside.
Thank you.
And you can see her place is a bit more put together than Figure's was. Her desk filled with books and neat piles of paper. Her bed made.
Came to talk to you about a few things, if that's okay.
Of course. I don't really have any chairs for all of us, but you're welcome to sit at my desk if you wish.
I can stand, it's okay. So we hear that you and the professor have been looking over some, I won't say forbidden texts, but highly secure texts. Is that correct?
Oh, you're referring to the Necronomicon, I believe?
Yes.
Yes, I did look at it a few weeks ago before I left for my little holiday.
And when was the last time you saw the book?
Just before I left, I handed it back to Professor Nightseed to return to the librarian.
Does she seem truthful in this matter?
Make an insight check.
Does Maybell wish to insight?
I can definitely try the insight.
Yep, both of you can make one. Yeah, both of you can tell that she is being truthful. Doesn't seem to be hiding anything, seems very open.
And you've been trying to assist the professor with trying to repair the service of words tonight, goddamn.
The servitor skeletons, yes. A little bit before I left. My research is on the servitor skeletons themselves, so I always give a hand to Professor Nightseed when I can.
Well, we're going to be speaking with him later on down in the library. Apparently, Oh, her, sorry.
Yeah, her.
It's going well for me tonight with words.
It is okay.
Which
Yes.
is an invocation wizard.
But yes, we're going to be having a word with them later on down in the library about the services.
If you'd like me to join, I don't mind coming down.
Uh,
Don't know how much else I'd be able to add, considering I wasn't here the past couple of weeks.
By all means, any further insight, the better.
Yeah, then I'll see you all downstairs. I suppose you'll be meeting to her when she's attempting her work, so just after dark, likely.
I believe so.
And she gives a nod.
Thank you, Julia.
You're welcome.
Well, leave you be for now.
She gives another nod and just says, I'll see you later.
And we'll head on out.
You head on out. I assume you're just heading back to the library?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I feel she was very honest with us.
Yes, I kind of got that as well. The options we're kind of being left with are not fantastic.
Agreed.
At the moment, it's either the professor could be doing something, or some students, or something else, but nothing's really coming up as concrete. We'll have to wait until the professor comes down to at least try and figure something else out.
It might be a few late nights in our future.
Clearly.
you're able to head down and meet back up with Volker and Tona. And I also forgot that you have the hireling, Izzy. I'm just going to say she's been sitting in the lounge, giving you all a wave every time you pass by.
Sounds about right.
That's okay. I forgot she existed too.
Oh no, I've got her on my sheet. Volpine named Izzy. Well, it seems that Julia will be coming down after that to offer her insights as well.
All right. And so, what benefit did we get exactly from tipping her off to it?
Well, neither of us believe she had anything to do with the book at the very least, so more than likely she's not involved.
Also, if she's here, she can be a character witness.
That, and they have more knowledge on the subject than any of us do.
That or an accomplice?
Maybe, but unless anyone else has any more filled out and better ideas of what's happening and how it's happening, we're going to need as many people with information as possible.
I mean, at this point, it sounds like our best guess is the professor, which is not a good sign, or someone else who is able to easily break into the library and take classified information.
Well, I probably could, so not saying too much.
I'm personally inclined to at least follow servitor skeletons for a day and see where they go.
Well, if that's the case, if you and Townick wish to follow some of these servitor skeletons, I'm going to look around for any hidden markings in case any of my kind have been here.
Fair.
Let's try and rule out as many options as possible.
And yep, Ivo, you can roll an investigation check to see if you find any thieves' camp markings.
I'll roll a dice as well, just to... That's 16.
You do not see any thieves' camp markings.
Oh, let's just rules out one thing.
While he's looking for markings, does he find any graffiti?
Yeah, he finds a heart with the initials A plus T in the middle, scratched into a wall down one of the hallways.
No.
And then Maybell, you were going to follow around some of the skeletons.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be sneaky about it though.
Yeah, make a stealth check.
That's what I get for making my own theme music.
And then are you just walking around the library, or are you gonna follow them up even?
I'll even follow them up. Like I'll pick one in particular and just see where it goes and if it has any of the malfunctions that have been mentioned.
Okay. So you pick one, and it seems to be holding like 2 or 3 books in its arms, and it walks up to a platform, and you follow it up there. The platform raises up to the classroom floor. It gets off. You follow it off, not making any motion to hide yourself. Well, attempting to hide yourself. But the servitor skeleton pays you no mind as you're following it. It heads to a classroom that seems to have a professor you don't recognize in it, with about 15 or so students. It opens the door, walks in, hands the books to the professor, and then turns and leaves. And as you keep following it, it heads down to the office of the professors. Do you keep following it?
Yep.
I do have a clarifying question.
Yeah.
How is it getting up and down through the layers? Is it taking the elevator too?
Yeah.
And there is just one big elevator?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So you get to the offices of the professors. It goes into Professor Ravain's office, and you see it just start tidying.
I'll just keep watching.
Okay. About an hour later, it finishes tidying. Did you stay with it for that entire time?
Yep.
Okay, it finishes tidying and then goes back to the elevator, heads back down.
Is there a clear way that it's using it? Like, does it have an amulet like we do, or is there something built into it apparently that is letting it use the elevator?
You would assume built into it because it doesn't have any kind of amulet, and it's not like suddenly glowing when it's moving around.
Interesting.
And at this point, it goes down to a floor that seems to be between the dormitories and the lounge floor. And goes into a kitchen area where it starts cooking.
It probably is getting around mealtime, so I'll use my blessing of the hearth and do my own cooking.
The servitor skeletons who are cooking make no like notion or movement or take any of the food that you've produced. They seem to be on a strict, we are making this thing now, we are serving this thing now kind of thing.
Okay. While I'm doing my cooking, I'll try a couple just like hand me this kind of things while they're in the middle of their thing to see how well they stay focused.
Yeah. As you say, hand me this thing, one of them seems to kind of uh, the only thing I can compare it to in my mind is like a robot that suddenly twitches, stops what it was doing, grabs what you wanted, turns around and hands it to you.
All right, thank you.
It doesn't respond.
Doesn't hurt to be nice to your robots. I mean, when they have their uprising, hopefully they'll remember you.
You mean the one that's going on right now?
Yep. Be nice to your robots.
And or
Okay.
undead.
That too.
And as you remain there cooking, the Strig clerk comes into the kitchen and kind of looks like stares at you in surprise and is like, don't think you're supposed to be here.
I kept following to see if they malfunction, but hey, if they're cooking, I figured I have my own stuff.
Just lead to yourself.
Oh no, and I'll just kind of show my blessing of the hearth I'm working on.
To feed to all the students.
Oh, I'm not interrupting them. I'm just watching.
He just shrugs and is like, well, I guess continue. Don't know who all you're gonna feed that to, but good for you.
Would you like to sample? I promise I'm a okay cook.
No thanks.
Later then.
And you get the feeling that the clerk had just come in to check on the skeletons and then sighs as he watches you watching them.
Watching, yeah. And also just making sure my stew part don't burn.
Yep. And after an hour of cooking, about hour or so of cooking, the skeletons are done, and you see them kind of line up with trays of food and head out.
Okay. Well, I'll bring my own servings of food up to the library. I don't necessarily think I can bring it inside the library, but they can at least eat out in the hallway, so.
Yeah, the lounge has a bunch of tables and chairs.
Perfect. Dinner.
Izzy runs to it, excited.
Nice.
Thank you for the food.
Anytime.
And as it gets to nighttime, you do see Professor Nightseed come down on the platform and starts the walk to the library. And Julia behind her.
Good evening.
Julia points out to the group and is like, oh, those are the ones. And Professor Nightseed Yeah, we will probably end in like 15 minutes, so you can stay for that or just head out whenever you need.
Yeah, I'll stay for that.
Okay. So, Professor Nightseed, who's a gallus, kind of a black feathered peahen, looks over at you all and is like, well, I heard you all have some questions for me.
Yeah, that seems to be the gist of it. I
Well,
guess.
let's go down and get this over with. And she walks down the stairs with Julia behind her.
Mabel shrugs and follows.
Same.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we all follow.
She leads you down one of the tunnel route hallways and then turns to the right to open a door that leads into a room that has a couple of the servitor skeletons kind of standing still and a pile of books on a table in the corner.
If I
Suppose
look at the books, is the Necronomicon there?
nope, but they are necromancy books.
I elbow whoever's nearest to me that's part of my party and point at the books and just kind of mouth, it's not there.
Well, yeah, you think they just leave it out in the open?
Shh.
What?
Leave what out?
Nothing. We're trying to figure something else out at the same time.
Well, you all can have a seat. And she gestures towards the chairs that are around the table.
Mabel's gonna double check there's no skeleton immediately behind her seat.
There is not.
Perfect.
Taunok will sit, cross his arms, cross his legs, just kind of stare across the table.
So what questions do you have for me? And she goes and she picks up one of the necromancy books and walks over to one of the servitor skeletons.
Well, I mean, we can start with the obvious one. What do you know about the skeleton thingies not working?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Unfortunately, I'm having some trouble. They are not acting as they should. Usually, we have them on a set path. Little orders here and there, they are acceptable, but anything that pulls them from their path for any moment longer than, say, a minute or two, those shouldn't be allowed.
So you think that these malfunctions are someone giving them different orders?
Not exactly. I'm the one who creates the orders. So, eh, unless whatever they're doing is less than a minute or two, they wouldn't deviate from what I've told them to do.
What kind of magic do you imbibe for orders?
It's all a part of the necromancy spell. A little more advanced than animate the dead.
See. But if things are going wrong with it, then either you're doing it wrong or someone's tampering with it.
Yes, it is possible that someone has tampered with the spell. None of the other professors would be able to, I would assume. But Julia is my strongest student, unless there's another necromancy student hiding among us, which I doubt.
There's information going missing around the library, as I'm sure you're aware. Are there any alumnus or anyone with a rivalry with you that would want to try to take over?
I've been a professor here for quite some time at this point. The previous necromancy professor to me has grown old. He's retired. I don't believe he would hold any ill will for me taking his place.
What about graduates?
Not that I think of any. I mean, there are some displeased students if they get a bad grade, and I tend to be a bit harsher with my marking than others.
Would there be any that covet your position?
And she kind of glances at Julia. I believe you're the only one working with servitor skeletons, and Julia's like, yes, I am. Although I mean, I do covet the position, but I wouldn't steal anything.
Mabel will nod along in agreement with that.
Can you give us any additional details about what's been going wrong with the skeletons? I mean, you're supposed to be the expert.
Hmm. That's, as I said, it's what I'm trying to figure out. It doesn't seem like my spell has been broken, although it is possible someone just replaced my spell with their own. It's not really a spell that I teach that often. Julia would be the only one that knows it.
How successful have you been in fixing individual skeletons?
Not that great. So, and she points to one of them. This one, I've been able to at least stop moving, but when it starts, and she speaks a spell that you don't quite understand, and the servitor skeleton jerks awake, walks forward, walks backwards, and then walks forward again, grabs one of the books, and just tosses it on the ground. You see, once I turn it back on, it does that.
Hmm.
And then you see it repeat the same pattern. Once it runs out of books, it just continues without the book.
And so once they malfunction, they're just no longer useful.
It seems like that, although I would rather they become useful again. This one here, and she points to another one, is almost ready, I believe.
What makes you say that?
Well, and she chants another spell, and this one uh, remains still until Night Seed says, "Go pick up the books." It goes, picks up the books, and then drops them immediately. It doesn't seem to keep the command, you can see.
Do the skeletons act as warriors if you're under attack?
Oh no, I don't give them any kind of fighting ability.
Was there any sort of event that corresponds with them beginning to malfunction like this?
Not that I can think of.
Is there a chance that having enough undead here would attract higher, stronger undead with maybe with intelligence?
I don't believe so, and even if there was, I would have noticed it at some point.
Got to roll back just a second. Did Tau not trust that? Not that I can think of.
Insight check. You believe her.
Totally.
Anyone else who wants to insight can insight her.
Oh, give it a go.
Okay, Taunok, Vulgar, and Ivo, you believe her. Maybell, you believe she's telling the truth, but she's not saying everything.
Well, shoot, I'm terrible at phrasing.
So you must not have been told about the book that went missing around the same time.
Oh. Well, I mean, yes, I was. That was about a week ago. I believe the servitor skeleton started acting up 4 weeks ago or so.
Ah, my timelines must be a little off.
But the book, yes, the librarian's already spoken to me about it. Morgana is quite convinced that I'm the one who stole it, but I mean, what use would to have stolen it if I have access to it regardless?
I was thinking the same thing, but there was some implication that if you were accessing it quite frequently, that would have raised some concerns.
I've only accessed it once at the request of Julia. And Julia pipes up, yeah, I've only looked at it a couple of times while the professor had it.
What did you need the book for, anyway?
Well, as I said, I'm studying servitor skeletons, and some of
Mm-hmm.
the spells in that book have to do with giving greater animation than what the servitor skeletons have. I'm doing research on how to make the servitor skeletons a bit more autonomous. I would like to be able to tap into the knowledge of the professors and alumni that uh, were once alive.
And, Professor, you knew that that information was in that book and never chose to use it in your own research on the topic?
I Yes, I knew about it. I didn't feel the need to actually do such research. Julia was the one who came to me with the proposal.
Julia, how did you find out about the information in that book?
Well, the professor talks about it sometimes, and I do know that there are books that students aren't allowed to touch upon. I ask for special permission.
Hmm. I do have to admit, I find it a bit odd that, Professor, you knew that information relevant to your primary field of study was in that book, and you chose never to access it before this point.
Well, I mean, it is relevant to my study, but I never felt the need, as I said, to make the servitor skeletons more than they are now. I've created my spell, and they do what I need them to do, and that is all.
You the first to implement their use here?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't really know what to ask.
Any particularly strange activity within the past couple of days?
Besides the servitor skeletons, no. Books going missing. What was it? That one student that got attacked?
So you believe it?
No. There's no way these, and she points to the servitor skeletons and kind of grabs one of their arms and raises it. No way these can, climb up the side of the tree.
Is there any reason they couldn't?
The bones are dull. They wouldn't be able to stab them into the side of the tree to be able to climb.
But they could grab in the narrow nooks and crannies.
Although there are some, the tree is smooth in some places. To be able to climb up that high is, well,
Uh,
it's unthinkable.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Ivo, you said that you found old grooves going up to that location. Be possible that they could have used those to climb up as handholds.
It's possible, yes, from one of the rooms on the lower floors, there are tracks leading up to that specific room.
You would actually, remembering the tracks, they were too wide for these servitor skeletons if you're thinking about wingspan or
Okay.
span.
Not quite, they were a little of wider span, but there are tracks.
I will say, the kid's description didn't sound like one of these anyway. Why are you so quick to assume that it was one of them?
I mean, what other skeletal creature could there be? I would only think that what he saw was either not there or he had a nightmare about one of these skeletons.
To be fair, it was dark, and he did describe the hands as a claw-like, not necessarily skeletal.
I was gonna say, Tara, this might just be me having a brain fart again, but like, I don't think he ever described any of it as skeletal to us.
He did. Or what did he say? I can actually find it again.
Oh, that works.
I wrote it down. Good.
It's as if we're all not firing on full cylinders tonight.
A huge monster climbing with claws, 4 big red eyes, opened its mouth. So it didn't talk about it being skeletal.
Yeah. So, he never described it as skeletal to us. Makes you think that it was.
I mean, these skeletal beings are the only things here that are scary, as it were.
But you already said that it couldn't be one of those.
And as I said, he probably imagined it or had a nightmare about one of these.
I don't think so. He seemed like he was telling the truth, enough to starve himself for days. Just a scare wouldn't have put him out quite that severely. He described it as having claw-like hands and 4 red eyes.
And I don't know what that would be.
Is there a professor of beast or arcane creatures?
No, they follow the schools of learning.
Ah,
Is that all?
I think so for now. Thank you.
Well, it is getting late. If you want, I believe Julia can lead you to the dormitories. Might have an extra room.
Thank you.
Volker, Ivo, you got anything else you can think of?
No, not at this moment.
All right, then. I guess we keep poking around and you'll hear from us again.
She just gives a nod and says, "Goodbye, good night."
Good night.
And Julia kind of follows you out and says, "Well, it's a lot of questions. Although it makes sense, I suppose. Servitor skeletons acting strange and all."
But better to ask too many questions than not ask enough and never know.
Of course, that makes sense. Did you want to go anywhere else, or shall I lead you to the dormitories?
I think the dormitories would be appropriate for now.
She gives a
Thank you.
nod. Ah,
So
you're
letting me-
welcome.
Yeah. Did you get dinner tonight?
Oh, yes, I was able to get it. Let me see. No strange servitor skeletons serving dinners.
No, all was good.
And she leads you back up to the dormitory and goes immediately to the left. And one of the dormitory rooms is actually labeled guest. And she opens that one and says, well, here you are. There are a couple of beds, your own kitchen area, if you'd like, your own bathing area, if you'd like that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, she gives a nod and is just like, yeah, I suppose you all know where my dormitory room is. If you need anything else from me, just come and knock.
Thank you.
Anything else you all wanted to discuss before sleeping?
I think Rob just wants to sleep.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if there's nothing else, then we in real life can go to sleep.